Hey guys, welcome back to another Lord's Mobile video. AlphaFish here, and today we will be talking about the Sanctuary. So the Sanctuary just arrived in a new update, and this building, let's just say that you can't really use it until your infirmaries get completely full. Alright, so we're going to be talking about some tests that I did last night before I went to bed, and the results of those tests. So, turns out the sanctuary has um, a it has a devotion energy that is used to heal your troops. Um, that changes based on your castle level, how much of it you get per hour. So per hour you get 1,120 true or points, and then which the holding amount, like the capacity of this thing, is insane. 1.25 million troops, which is really, really big. All right. So, we'll be answering some obvious questions. Can I use this for a trap? You know, how many troops does it save every time? Is it a random amount of troops that it saves between different tiers if I send multiple tiers in a single army? We'll be answering all of those questions. So first off, uh, let's start out with tier 1. Tier 1 troops will be costing 1 energy per troop, which means for in 1 hour you can heal 1,120 troops of tier 1, all right? And I believe this change between troop types of energy per troop, I think this will be exponential. As far as I tested on tier 1 and tier 2, and tier 2 it was doubled per troop type, and I've heard other people saying that um, it is potentially exponential. So, based on the other algorithms that IGG uses, everything is doubled for the next troop type up. So it's actually like squared if you know mathematics. Um, so tier 3 should cost about 4 points per troop. Tier 4 will cost 8, and then of course tier 5 will cost 16. All right, so it's double of the previous of the cost of the previous tier, or the next tier down. So, to answer your all's questions, this building should not be used for trapping unless it is completely empty, and you're okay with taking months to heal, or even weeks at least to heal your troops. Um, you do get when this all pops up, you'll have this window here for your troops will be listed here, and then over here you'll get another window, a very skinny window called titled Divine Providence, which I'll explain what that does here in a moment. But here at the bottom between the two windows, you'll get a yellow button, and it's basically for quests. So they've added a certain amount of quests that you can do every day to get uh, extra of this devotion energy. Okay, so you can get up to about, I think I calculated roughly near about 150,000 points extra every day for completing these quests. And they reset when your login resets. Okay, so well, I'm not sure if it's login reset or if it's your castle reset, because those are two different resets. But um, it will reset once a day. That I am sure of. So you can get that, 150, about 150,000 points. It's a rough calculation. I kind of did some quick math in my head, and then you get the points per hour. So it's going to be a really, really slow comeback for your troops from this building. Very slow growth. You can there like you can click heal, and you get like a slide bar. So you don't have to. You're not forced to do all of your troops at once, but you can heal them in chunks. And according to some of the testing I did, the first test I did was to unlock this building. So I maxed out my infirmaries very carefully with camps, by getting someone to hit my camps while I was under a shield. And then I tried sending out one troop to send to the sanctuary, but it didn't work, so I ended up sending 100. And I started noticing a pattern. Every time I sent out 100 troops, I would see 70 in this Divine Resurrection, and then over in this Divine Providence, I would see 10. Excuse me. Which is a consistent pattern, okay? So what it looks like is that the goddess saves 70% of every troop type that is sent in the march after your infirmary is full, of course. 70% end up here. 70% of each troop type. As far as I could tell from my testing, it does not prioritize troops. It takes a certain percent of each troop type. So if you have like 3,000 tier 3 or tier 4, and then like the rest of the march is higher tier, it'll take 70% of the higher tier and 70% of the lower tier. So if you're using this, the meat shield theory is not going to work for this, okay? That's kind of a pain, because if you regularly were used to sending 60 or 40% of a lower tier, if you know that you're probably going to get capped. That way you lose the lower tier and your higher tier is completely saved. That does not work for Sanctuary, okay? So you will 70% of each of those tiers will be saved, of each troop type will be saved for the Sanctuary. 70% over here, and then 10% of each troop type and tier over here in Divine Providence. Alright? So Divine Providence is basically the goddess saying, hey, without any repercussions or injuries, I managed to heal 10% of your troops. That's going to be over here. Divine Resurrection, the goddess is going to say, hey, I was able to save these troops too, but you're going to have to give me some divine energy or devotion. Show me some devotion if you want these troops to be healed. So the goddess is not giving you any freebies for this 70%, but she will for the 10% over here. Okay, so that's how that works. Once again, it does not favor troop tiers at all. It's 70% of each troop type. That was in the march. So if you're doing like a mix march, which is like typically three different troop types of the same tier, you'll get 70% healed over here, and then you'll get 10% of that. And sending out multiple marches does not affect this healing factor at all, as far as I'm aware. I did take two different hits without healing this in the sanctuary, and both times it was the same with the 70%. It does not increase or decrease based on how many hits you take before healing. So as this building you can use to trap, but you're only going to be able to do it once until you're going to say, hey, I need to heal these. And it's going to take you a while to do that. Unless IGG adds some kind of pay-to-win feature where people can boost or speed up their devotion energy. And make sure you guys remember that things like Feudal War, Battle Wonder, or Royal Wonder, fighting over bases and forts, troops will not be filling up Sanctuary. This is basically between player versus player. It's going to be your troops on tiles, if you screw up, if you're trapping, offense, defense, basically anything that doesn't have anything to do with any special fort events or anything like that, base events, no base events, so on and so forth. This building, the troops that are in here will not affect if you can join Dragon Arena. It will not be counted against you if you have troops in here. Just make sure that your traps and troops are all healed up, that your wall is completely healed, and that you don't have any troops out of your castle for Dragon Arena. That's still all the same. That hasn't changed at all, at least not yet. And this sanctuary will not have troops filled into it during Dragon Arena because Dragon Arena's beds are limitless. So you don't have to worry about that. Um, Anything I am forgetting, I'm trying to think. Um, so basically, Sanctuary doesn't have. The only one downside to using Sanctuary is that your troops will take forever to heal. Alright? Like, it'll take forever for you to empty your Sanctuary. And unlike infirmaries, where if you mess up and get tier 1 in them, you can heal them instantly, that's not the case for this. Heal 1 or tier 1 do not heal instantly in this sanctuary. So be very careful of what troop types that you take in here. If you have any kind of meat shield, they're going to the sanctuary is going to take 70% of those in your resurrection right here, and then over here in your divine um, um, providence will take 10%. So if you have a little bit of every troop type, especially for like Lord's Ball, and you get hit randomly, you're not paying attention, 70% of each of those will go into here that if they don't fit in your infirmaries. So players that have massive meat shields, this isn't going to look too good for you. Especially if you're hoping to use this for your your tier 4 or tier 5. This isn't going to look good for you at all. Because 70% of your troops that get hit are going to end up here. So if your higher tiers don't get touched, they're going to fill up with T1 or tier 2. Whatever troop types that you use for that meat shield, it's going to all fill up here. And yeah, it's going to take faster to heal, but it's still going to be a pain in the butt, especially for like tier 2 traps that will take like 600, 700 deads in like a single rally hit. This is not going to be any use for you. This is going to be for players like me that don't have meat shields necessarily, and castles that are designed to have less injuries. So the less damages you can take, this is going to benefit Titans more than anything. So the players that can take minimal losses instead of people not worrying about how many losses they take because, hey, I can replace my tier 2 by spending money. That's not going to this building's not going to benefit those players that just throw away troops so they can trap. This is going to benefit players that put time into their troops and try to minimize their losses from the hits that they take. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys learned something today. Stay safe and peace out.